Welcome back to the channel. My name is Your Name, and tonight we're diving deep into the unsettling world of new house horror. These are the stories that keep you up at night, wondering if the walls around you hold more than just insulation and drywall. These are 3 disturbing true stories of new house horror that will make you think twice before moving into a new home. So lock your doors, turn off the lights, and prepare to be disturbed, because what you're about to hear is truly terrifying. The Johnson family, John, Mary, and their 2 young children, Emily and Ethan, were ecstatic. They had been searching for the perfect home for months, and finally their dream had come true. They finally found their dream home, a beautiful Victorian house at the end of a quiet, tree-lined street. The house stood majestically with its intricate woodwork and large bay windows that seemed to whisper tales of the past. The house had everything they ever wanted: a spacious yard where the children could play, a cozy fireplace perfect for family gatherings, and an undeniable charm that made it feel like home the moment they stepped inside. The rooms were filled with natural light, and the air seemed to hum with a welcoming energy. Little did they know a darkness lurked beneath the surface. The house, with all its beauty, held secrets that were waiting to be uncovered. As night fell, the shadows seemed to grow longer, and an eerie silence enveloped the home. The first few weeks were idyllic. The Johnsons settled into their new life, enjoying the warmth and comfort of their new home. Laughter filled the rooms, and the children's playful giggles echoed through the halls. But soon the facade began to crack. Small, unsettling occurrences started to disrupt their peace. It began with minor things, a creak here, a whisper there. The house, once so inviting, began to feel different. It began with whispers, soft and indistinct, heard only in the dead of night. The whispers seemed to come from the walls themselves, carrying a sense of urgency and sorrow. They were barely audible, but enough to send chills down their spines. Then came the cold spots. Pockets of icy air that clung to certain areas of the house. No matter how high they turned up the heat, these cold spots remained, as if the house itself was breathing out a frigid breath. Emily started having nightmares of a shadowy figure standing at the foot of her bed. She would wake up screaming, her tiny body trembling with fear. The figure, she said, had no face, just a dark, looming presence that watched her. Ethan grew withdrawn and quiet. The once lively boy now spent hours alone in his room, staring out the window with a distant look in his eyes. He spoke less and less, his laughter fading into silence. Objects began to move, doors creaked open and slammed shut. The family would find items in places they hadn't left them, and the sound of footsteps echoed through the halls when no one was there. The house seemed to be alive, and it was angry. John dismissed these occurrences as tricks of the imagination. He tried to reassure his family, attributing the strange happenings to the house settling or the wind, but deep down even he began to feel the unease creeping in. Mary, however, couldn't shake off the feeling that something was terribly wrong. She felt a constant sense of dread, as if they were being watched. The house, once a dream, had become a nightmare. One evening Mary noticed a strange inscription etched into the back of Emily's closet door. The symbols were unfamiliar, and seemed to pulse with a dark energy. She felt a cold shiver run down her spine as she traced the lines with her fingers. She showed it to John, who agreed to contact a paranormal investigator. They knew they needed help, and the strange inscription was the final straw. The investigator arrived the next day, equipped with tools to uncover the truth. The investigator confirmed the house was haunted by a vengeful spirit drawn to Emily. He explained that the spirit had a tragic past and was seeking something it had lost. The family listened in horror as the investigator detailed the spirit's history. They sought the help of a renowned psychic, who revealed the spirit's tragic story. The psychic explained that the spirit was a former resident of the house, a woman who had lost her child and was now drawn to Emily's innocence and youth. Through a séance they appeased the spirit, and peace returned to their home. The psychic guided them through the ritual, and as they held hands, they felt the spirit's presence lift. The house once again became a place of warmth and love, and the Johnson family could finally breathe easy. Elm Street, a name that evokes a sense of normalcy, yet hides a sinister secret. Nestled in a quiet, unassuming neighborhood, it was the last place anyone would expect to find a house so steeped in darkness. The house, a stately old colonial, had stood on that street for over a century. Its grand facade and timeless architecture masked the malevolent presence that lurked within its walls. The Miller family, unaware of the dark history, stepped into a nightmare. They were drawn to the house by its charm and character, oblivious to the horrors that awaited them. The first sign was a series of minor misfortunes. A broken vase, a tripped circuit breaker, a sudden hailstorm. These incidents seemed like mere coincidences at first, but they were just the beginning. But as the days turned into weeks, the incidents grew more frequent and sinister. The house seemed to have a life of its own, a dark, malevolent force that thrived on the family's fear and despair. Robert found himself plagued by bad luck at work. His projects failed, his colleagues turned against him, and his once promising career began to crumble. Eleanor's creativity, once a source of joy and fulfillment, was stifled by an unexplainable mental block. Sarah became increasingly withdrawn and sullen. The once vibrant teenager now spent her days locked in her room, staring out the window with a vacant expression. The house seemed to drain the life out of her, leaving her a shadow of her former self. One evening the lights flickered and died, plunging the house into darkness. The air grew thick with an oppressive silence, broken only by the sound of their own breathing. From the darkness came a low, guttural growl, morphing into a blood-curdling scream. The family huddled together, paralyzed by fear, as the house seemed to come alive with malevolent energy. Robert decided to delve into the house's history. He spent countless hours poring over old documents and photographs, determined to uncover the truth behind the house's dark past. He discovered the house had a long and sordid history, stained with violence and tragedy. Each family that had lived there had met with misfortune, their lives unraveling in a series of inexplicable events. Desperate to save his family, Robert sought the help of a renowned paranormal investigator. The investigator, a man with years of experience dealing with the supernatural, agreed to take on the case. The investigator confirmed the house was a conduit for paranormal activity. He explained that the house was a magnet for restless spirits drawn to its dark energy. To rid the house of the curse, they performed a cleansing ritual. The ritual was designed to banish the malevolent spirits and cleanse the house of its dark energy. The ritual was long and arduous, filled with chanting and burning sage. The air grew thick with the scent of the burning herbs, and the house seemed to resist their efforts, its walls groaning and creaking in protest. As the ritual reached its climax, the house was plunged into darkness once more. The family held their breath, waiting for the darkness to consume them. This time the darkness felt cleansing. It was as if the house was finally releasing its hold on them, the malevolent energy dissipating into the night. When the lights flickered back on, the house felt lighter. The oppressive atmosphere had lifted, replaced by a sense of peace and tranquility. The curse had been lifted. The house, once a place of darkness and despair, was now filled with light and hope. The Miller family, forever changed by their experience, decided to leave the house on Elm Street behind. They packed up their belongings and left, determined to start anew. They moved on, carrying with them the scars of their encounter with the supernatural. The experience had left them shaken, but also stronger and more resilient, a chilling reminder that some houses are best left undisturbed. The house on Elm Street stood empty once more, its dark secrets buried deep within its walls. Their secrets buried deep within their walls. The house remained a silent sentinel, a testament to the horrors that had unfolded within its walls. The Miller family, forever changed by their experience, decided to leave the house on Elm Street behind. They drove away, the house growing smaller in the rearview mirror, a haunting reminder of the darkness they had escaped. Whispering Pines, a name that conjures images of serene suburban life where children play in the streets and neighbours greet each other with warm smiles. The name itself evoked images of idyllic suburban bliss. It was a place where everyone knew each other and the sense of community was strong. The lawns were always perfectly manicured and the houses stood in neat rows, each one a picture of domestic tranquility. But beneath the veneer of perfection, a darkness lurked. It was a darkness that no one could see, but everyone could feel. It was as if the very air in Whispering Pines had changed, becoming thick with an unspoken dread. The first sign was the disappearance of Emily Carter. Emily was a bright, cheerful teenager, loved by everyone in the neighborhood. Her sudden disappearance was a shock to all. One evening, Emily simply vanished, leaving behind no trace. Her parents searched frantically, but there was no sign of her. It was as if she had been swallowed by the night itself. Her disappearance sent shockwaves through the community. Neighbors gathered, whispering in hushed tones, their faces etched with worry and confusion. How could someone just vanish without a trace? David, distraught and desperate for answers, contacted the police. He was Emily's best friend and he couldn't believe she was gone. The police arrived quickly, but their presence did little to calm the growing fear. But their investigation yielded few clues. The detectives combed through the neighborhood, questioning everyone, but no one had seen or heard anything unusual. It was as if Emily had simply vanished into thin air. As weeks turned into months, the initial shock gave way to unease. The once bustling streets grew quieter, and the laughter of children was replaced by the whispers of worried parents. The community was changing, and not for the better. The once vibrant community became shrouded in suspicion and fear. Neighbors who once greeted each other warmly now eyed each other with suspicion. Every shadow seemed to hide a threat, and every creak of a floorboard was a potential danger. The disappearances continued, each one as baffling and terrifying as the last. Posters of missing persons began to appear on walls and lampposts, each one a stark reminder of the growing mystery. Sarah Miller vanished without a trace one afternoon. She had been playing in the park, her laughter echoing through the trees, and then she was gone. Her bicycle lay abandoned, a silent witness to her disappearance. John and Mary Thompson disappeared from their home one night. Their front door was found wide open, the lights still on. It was as if they had been in the middle of something and had simply vanished. The disappearances followed a chilling pattern. Each one seemed to happen without warning, and there were no signs of struggle. It was as if the victims had been plucked from their lives by an invisible hand. Fear and paranoia gripped the community. People began to lock their doors and windows even in the middle of the day. The once friendly neighborhood was now a place of fear and suspicion. The police increased patrols and launched a full-scale investigation, but to no avail. Despite their best efforts, the disappearances continued, each one more baffling than the last. The disappearances continued, each one adding to the growing sense of dread. The streets of Whispering Pines, once filled with life, were now eerily silent, haunted by the memories of those who had vanished. Theories abounded, each more outlandish than the last. Some whispered of supernatural forces, while others spoke of a hidden cult. But no matter how wild the theories, the truth remained elusive, and the mystery of Whispering Pines deepened with each passing day. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more chilling tales. The next time you're house hunting, remember the stories of the Johnson, Miller, and Whispering Pines. And remember, sometimes the scariest things are the ones that seem the most ordinary. Sweet dreams.